Okay, so if you want to be any good at world geography, you should probably know a few of the major cities of the world's most populous country, right? Well, here's the thing. India is about to overtake China in possibly a few years as the world's most populous country. But here's the thing. If you want to memorize a lot of their biggest cities, that can be tricky because, well, let's just look at a few maps here so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, so this map from one of my kids' almanacs from many, many years ago has this map of Asia here. And if you look at the India part, you'll notice a couple interesting things. Notice two of the cities in the south. There's this one called Chennai with Madras in parentheses, and also this one called Cochin. But now let's take a look at this other kid's almanac from a different publisher I got. And this one has the city called Madras with Chennai in parentheses, and that other city is called Kochi. What in the world is going on here? So what's going on here is that an enormous number of cities in India have been getting their names changed at a very rapid pace over the past few decades, more than your average country. And some of these cities are enormous, a lot of them with millions of people in them, and I'm going to help you guys stay on top of your geography game. So in this video, I'm going to cover some of the biggest name changes of some of the most populous cities in India. So let's start with the big obvious one, Mumbai, home to like 20 million people. But let's rewind a little bit, way back to like the early 1500s, when this enormous island with this big enormous city did not have a big enormous city on it, and it actually wasn't an enormous island, it was actually an archipelago of 7 smaller islands. These islands were part of the Kingdom of Gujarat at the time, and around this time, Portugal started to show up. Getting a little interested in making colonies in this India area. So the Kingdom of Gujarat had this sultan who wanted to make an alliance with the Portuguese. So as part of this deal he made with Portugal, he gave these 7 islands to Portugal. So Portugal took these islands and they built a settlement on it called Bombaia, which in Portuguese, if I said that right, means something like the Good Bay. Then, a little while later, eventually, the British showed up, also interested in ruining everything by making some colonies as well. So in 1661, there is this weird marriage thing going on between 2 royals, one from Portugal and one from Britain. So as part of the dowry that Portugal paid to Britain in this weird royal marriage thing, as part of the dowry, they included these 7 islands and gave them to the British. So the British took this settlement, Bombaia, and they sort of Englishified the name eventually, calling it Bombay. And that name stuck through the centuries as more and more land reclamation projects turned these 7 islands into one big island, and the city of Bombay became extremely economically important, and it grew and grew and grew. Fast forward all the way through Indian independence, and Bombay is an enormously important Indian city. And this is also, by the way, where the term Bollywood comes from, as a nickname for India's movie industry. Like Hollywood, but with the B from Bombay. That's where that came from. Now, in the 1990s, this one political party showed up called the Shiv Sena, and they gained power in the state government of Maharashtra, which is the state that Bombay was located in and it was the capital of. So the Shiv Sena was a fairly extremist political party, and one of the things they were trying to do was to gain a lot of local support, especially from people who spoke the local Marathi language. And in the Marathi language, Mumbai was what people would call the city of Bombay. It had a more local flavor to it, and it was like this symbolic move of getting rid of all the old British colonial influence that ruined so much. Eventually, in 1996, the federal government of India approved the requested name change, and the city officially changed from Bombay to Mumbai in 1996. Now, this came with a ton of controversy. A lot of locals did not want to change it because they were used to calling it Bombay. And of course, this was all tied up in this political party controversy. And then some people were for it, some people were against it. It was a mess. And by the way, all of these name changes I'm mentioning in this video came with tons of controversy. And a lot of it is still not, over today. So at first, a lot of people were very hesitant to go with the name change. But lately, in more recent years, Mumbai is starting to stick a little more. Also in 1996, the enormous city of Chennai, which today has 8.7 million people living there, changed its name from Madras. And also the nearby city of Cochin changed its name to Kochi in 1996 as well. Over in the east is the huge city of Kolkata with 14 million people. It got its current name in 2001 when it changed from the old British-sounding Calcutta. Now, in 2006, there was this one city called Pondicherry that changed its name to Puducherry. Now, normally this would go through like a state government process, but this is a little different because Pondicherry is one of the 7 union territories of India. Strange political divisions that aren't exactly states. They're kind of their own thing. It's a complicated thing. But yeah, Puducherry is what it's called now. It's one of the 7 union territories, home to 700,000 people. Over in the southwestern state of Karnataka, around 2008, they requested the federal government of India to approve over 20 city name changes. And the federal government was not super eager to do it. They were a bit hesitant, and they sat on these proposals for a while. But eventually, in 2014, they got approved. So in 2014, over 20 cities in Karnataka got their names changed, including old British spellings like Mangalore and Bangalore and Mysore got changed to more newer local pronunciations like Mangaluru and Bengaluru and Mysuru. And just last year, in 2018, the city of Allahabad, which was known as Allahabad since 1575, from way back in the Mughal Empire period, even before the British showed up, Allahabad got its name changed to Prayagraj. These name changes are not slowing down anytime soon, and there are possibly more name changes on the way. The enormous city of Ahmedabad in Gujarat in the west is considering changing its name to Karnavati. That hasn't happened yet as of this taping, but maybe it's happened by the time you're watching it. I don't know. These name changes are happening so fast. The state of West Bengal is considering changing its name to Bangla, which kind of makes a little more sense because there's a West Bengal, but there's no East Bengal as a state in India. It's a little confusing. So they're considering changing their name. These name changes are happening so fast. And now there's one more piece of weirdness I have to share with you guys. So the process for changing a city's name is fairly straightforward. If the state government that the city's in wants to change the name, they can ask the federal government, and then the federal government can deny it or approve it. And that's pretty straightforward. But the process for changing the name of a court, for example, is a lot different and apparently a lot harder because very few name changes, if any, have happened. So the highest court in the land in India is obviously the Supreme Court, but the second highest courts in the land are the 24 high courts that are scattered around the country in various cities. So you have, in the city of Mumbai today, you have one of the high courts located in Mumbai, but the high court's official name is still the High Court of Bombay. They're still using the old name because apparently it's easier to change the name of one of the world's largest cities than it is to change the name of a courthouse. Because to change the name of the courthouse would require an act of parliament, which is apparently much more difficult than getting the state government to say yes and then New Delhi to say yes. So even though the High Court of Bombay is located in the city of Mumbai, they have not gotten around to updating their name yet. And that's happening with a bunch of high courts all across India. For example, in the city of Chennai, the high court there is still called the High Court of Madras. The court in Kolkata is still called the High Court of Calcutta. In Prayagraj, their high court is still called the High Court of Allahabad. It's insane, all these different levels of bureaucracy mixing up the names, causing a weird geographic name mess. So yeah, that's that's a bit of the story behind all these name changes happening all over India, happening very fast. So if you have a map of India, it's probably already outdated. Sorry. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. Namaste.